Yorji Jimbo to Nyingma Yang, Ronnie Molan Jimbo Abjada, Bakar Tangan Sando Hirmedo, Dumba Tuji Janla Gyangzo, Yondon Sanji Gandan Yamnai, Quatan Sanjele Janla Bengo, Lamana Lazor Vande, Dosono Lorna Chula Jer, to Sundungar Chenda Chijin, Yarson Nehon Shiver Jelazo, Simjan Tonga near the Dakzona. Tamba Namji Nim the Zar the So. Root text number 9. Without the wisdom relies in ultimate reality. Niluk Tokpe Sherab Merdana. Niluk means ultimate reality. Tokpa means relies in. Sherab means wisdom. Without means Merdana. Nimjong, no, even though you have generated renunciation and the mind of enlightenment, Nimjong, Shangchip Sim la Kumchi Chang. Nimjong means renunciation, Shangchip Sim means mind of enlightenment, Komba means generate, Hi Chang means even though. You cannot cut the root cause of existence. You cannot cut manipa means you cannot cut. Ni tupi tsawa chapar manipa. Sutpa means the existence, the samsara, simply existence. Sutpa. Tsawa means root. Chapar means cut. You can't cut root cause of existence. Therefore, attempt the method to realize dependent horizon. Devshir means therefore, Timder Tokpi Tavlan, but Tinder means dependent horizon. Tokpa means realize Tavlan, but attempt the method, okay? So, we talked about renunciation first day, talked about bodhicitta second day. Now, this is the right view about emptiness today. So this stanza is the reason to meditate on the right view, according to my true teacher Khenchen Jigmé Phuntsok's instruction. This is the reason to meditate on the right view, this stanza. So the wisdom of ultimate reality can cut the root cause of samsara and also destroy wrong views, okay? So here it says, therefore, right? Therefore attempt to method realize dependent arising. Dependent arising is the right view, right view. So this is the what do you call it? Reason, to meditate on right view. Devshir means therefore, you have to, So these three principles, right? Renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of ultimate reality. These are the essence of Buddhism. Remember, as I said yesterday, the essence of kind of universal practice or teaching. And one of these missing, no way to attain enlightenment, right? So Chandrakurt says that relative bodhicitta must function in union with ultimate bodhicitta, which is the understanding of reality. So here it says, even though the root text here says, like, even though you have general renunciation, mind of enlightenment, you cannot cut the root cause of existence. Bodhicitta has two different things, right? Relative bodhicitta, if you practice relative bodhicitta, yes, you can't cut root of cyclic existence. But ultimate bodhicitta, you can. That's why Chandrakurt says that relative bodhicitta must, mixed the function with and union with the ultimate bodhicitta. So then that is the right view, that is the great emptiness, the ultimate bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, both, then we can cut the root of samsara, right? So with these two, we can reach our goal. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the interdependent horizon here. According to Lama Tsongkhapa, the text specifically say here interdependent. Therefore, we have to but therefore we have to try to understand realize the dependent horizon. So therefore, first we have to understand the meaning of the interdependent horizon. So you will understand how important it is to know this view. This view is very unique Buddhist teaching, I think, interdependent horizon. Interdependent horizon is the correct understanding of how things exist. And not only that, but also a mind that apprehends them to exist in that way. So it means all external and internal phenomena of this world, this samsara, this environment comes into existence and dependent upon cause and conditions. So the Buddhist teachings on interdependent horizon show us that all dharmas, all phenomena are created based on their cause, based on their conditions, that they arise in interdependence, and that they are therefore dependently related. So everything is dependent on their causes and conditions. Relative truth, point of view, causes condition, how work causes condition, so important. So because having this sort of unmistaken view is very important, right? In order to practice emptiness. When we understand this, we know that all situation in our lives, everything is interconnected to each other. So you see, when we recite the Samandabhada's prayer, says all that appears and exists, all of samsara and nirvana has one ground, right? One ground, two paths, and two results. Do you remember that? All appears, right? Appears and exists. In Tibetan, nut, jit, So all that appear means the nut means like container that our samsaric existence. It refers to our sort of group, experience of shared karma, which is the common experience of different people. So, for instance, you see this is a pepper, right? This is a pepper. I see this is a pepper. So this is what we call common experience to all of us. So nut means like, that. And then exist, appear, and exist. Exist refers to the contained beings in the different realms, such as like human realm, animal realm, and so forth. So all that sort of fundamental or basic experience is what we call all that appears and exists, not just everything included. So that is the whole world. The container and content include all experience of samsara and all experience of nirvana. So all of samsara and nirvana have one common ground, right? From that one common ground, branches go into different directions, and there are two paths lead to two different results of samsara and nirvana by one ground. That's very important to understand. This fundamental sort of basis of the ground is the basic shunyata. In Tibet, Sanskrit says shunyata. In Tibet, Tongpa, great emptiness, the primordial great emptiness. That is the fundamental basic sort of, this one ground. Okay, Samandabhada says one ground, two paths, two results, right? So today we're talking about this one ground, Shunyata, the great emptiness. So who has that best? Who has that ground? You have, right? We all have. I have, you have, we all have. All living beings have this one ground, okay? Our mind, our body, and the entire sort of universe merge sort of into this great emptiness. This great emptiness. Out of this great emptiness, merge into this great emptiness. Everything. That's why this is one ground, shunyata, great primordial shunyata. So is the pervasive nature of all living beings. Remember, it's like yesterday we talked about pervasive kind of suffering. Pervasive means like chapa in Tibet, means like you have, I have, all living beings have it, this one ground. So we all same, at that level, we all same. There is no someone who higher than we or someone who lower than us. No, we all same, equal. Because all the pervasive nature of all living beings, that's what we call it. So beings all have the same nature. But the problem is there are two parts. Because as we know, the path to samsara begins with ignorance. Remember yesterday we talked about the self-grasping. And the path to nirvana, which is liberation, begins with wisdom, what we call it the self-liberation. That is the result of freedom from samsara. So samsara, when we talk about samsara and nirvana, don't think that they are two different things. Because samsara, the essence of samsara is nirvana, So there is actually not two different places because the ground, the basic nature, the ground is the same. There is no different samsara, or it's also Samandabhada prayer says, even there no name samsara or nirvana. They are the same, right? Same, like there's no samsara, this is nirvana. So in this point, so therefore, this liberation, so we're talking about here like, the two paths to result. So that's the thing. Ignorance, which is self-grasping and self-liberation, these two things makes two paths and two results, even though there's a one ground. So ignorance and liberation are like, electricity, like switch, So if you turn it off, you have completely dark, darkness, You turn off and then dark, right? That is the self-grasp. That is like ignorance. Do you understand? You turn on, turn off, lights, then dark, completely. You don't see anything. I mean, that's kind of self-grasping. If you turn it on, then you have this luminosity. In Tibet, this is the Buddhist language, luminosity, which is recognition. So, which is the self-liberation, or this is great sort of wisdom, So, with that, this is the recognition. This with that recognition, then you have what you have. You have nirvana. You have liberation, and without that recognition, you get this samsara. We get this samsara, right? So that's why in Tibetan we say rikpa and marikpa. It means like knowing and not knowing. That's also Samantabhada's prayer says, right? Knowing or not knowing. Knowing that situation, we recognize that our own happiness is related to other things. It is an interdependent arising. It is all this interdependent arising come out of emptiness, this one ground, this one shunyata, this emptiness. Not knowing this view, the true nature of the reality, is what we call is ignorance, self-grasping, me, you. That is your path. That is our path. So we create sort of, the cause by our actions, and we experience their result. This is, self-grasping. This is come from self-grasping. But, as I said, this one ground, this is also, we call like a Ramjong Rigpa in Tibetan, which means like self-arising wisdom. Self-arising wisdom. So that is the one ground, a great emptiness. So it is never sort of increase or never decrease. When everything is destroyed, Samantabhada's prayer says that everything is destroyed by fire. The sky will remain as it is. Similarly, the self-arising energy of awareness will never sort of diminish under any circumstances. Okay? So because this is Ramjong Rigpa, means like the self-arising wisdom. It's not depend on these causes and conditions. None of that. It's beyond that. Tayataum gate parangate parasangate bodhi. So that is the Ramjong Rigpa. Okay. So this is the never diminish or increase, decrease under any circumstances. That's why Ramjong Rigpa means. Ramjong means like Rang means self. Zhong means like arising. Rigpa means like wisdom, liminals, That's why they call the Ramjong Rigpa. So the Nagarjuna's commentary, the root knowledge, our herb in Tibet, root knowledge of the middle way says that, remember, which arises interdependently, does not cease, does not arises. It is not nothing and not eternal, right? It does not come, does not go. It is not different, not the same, right? So that's you see, that's the Ramjong Rigpa. That's the self-arising wisdom. So absolute sort of true nature is beyond every conceptual extreme and limitation. That's this comment, Nagarjuna's commentaries, root text says, right? So this is the true meaning of our nature and great emptiness, primordial wisdom, emptiness, great emptiness. This means that we cannot be evil by nature. Whatever sort of negatives or badness that we see or feel is only temporary, and due to sort of this relative, causes and conditions, it's just we have to understand this is just temporary. I know some of you like have ground sort of feeling like there is something wrong with me, so something that I can't fix, I can't do anything, something fundamentally wrong. That's not true. That's according to Vajrayana's teaching, you can fix this. That's not true at all. So your nature is so pure, and your nature is perfect and good. So you're like a window with dirt on it. You have a beautiful window, but dirt on it. So with the which is obscures, right, your view. So your windows very unclean. Then you don't see it. You don't see this, even though this is a beautiful view. You don't see it. But that's temporary. This dirt is temporary. The dirt view is just like what do you call it? Superficially on top of the window. It's not window's nature. So the dirt is not the window's nature. We have to understand that. As you clean the window, you will see the beautiful view through the window. You can see more and more of the pure and clear and the beautiful views through the window. That is just like your mind, our minds, is not sort of intrinsically stained, Many people, especially Westerners, they have this idea, so intrinsically something wrong, so that I can't fix this, I can't change this, so I want to die, suicide. A lot happen, right? That's unfortunately just they don't understand this dirt on the window, that they can clean, So that's why it's a Buddhist, the Vajrayana point of view, there is not intrinsically stained. Nothing. Its nature is pretty good. Because as you practice, you will reveal more and more of your basic goodness. This is the basic goodness, okay? Which is your naturally sort of, pure and, your nature purity, So don't ever think that there is something intrinsically wrong with me, Never think that. That's not true. So your nature is pure and radiant. Because you should look into your own mind. Is this true or not? We're not talking about someone else's, something else's. We're talking about your nature. We're talking about my nature. So Buddhist Vajrayana teachings, they talk about this intrinsically pure nature like this. Is this true? So it's up to you. You can look into your own mind. Then you will see, is this true or not? So these teachings are about your mind. These teachings about my mind, nothing else. So we have to consider sort of whether this is true or not. When you understand the reality, then everything arises spontaneously. As Samantabhada's prayer says. I will not quote any different other teachings because Samantabhada prayers all of us very familiar. So it says that, right? So everything arises spontaneously. Because Ramjong Rigpa, the self-arising wisdom. So then you rest in on it. Everything is spontaneously arise. Then you rest on it and develop it more and more, more and more. Then you can clearly be aware of this openness. This openness, we call it self-arising awareness, right? Self-arising awareness. So there is no Buddha other than this. So that means, like you can find a perfect Buddha in your own mind. That's why we call it like Ramjong Rigpa. So there is no Buddha other than that, Outside Buddha is relative thing, The ultimate Buddha is this. This is the Samandabhada. This is the Buddha Shakyamuni. This is when you practice Guru Yoga, the union of your Guru's mind, heart, whatever you call it, and your mind. If you understand this, makes sense. If you don't understand this, doesn't make any sense. How can I union my root teacher's mind and my mind? How? It doesn't make sense. But once you understand, all there we have one ground, and we have this Ramjong Rigpa, self-arising wisdom. And then you understand, then you meditate on it, you develop it, then everything spontaneously. If there's nothing, then you will see, oh, this is what we call liberation. This is enlightenment. This is the Buddha. So therefore, we say our nature, our nature is pure. That means, our nature is a Buddha, a real Buddha. So to understand this view of interdependent horizon helps us to understand the essence of emptiness of all phenomena. Okay, that's the thing. As Chandrakurt said, therefore, the reasoning of dependent origination cuts through the net of all wrong views. Do you remember? Net of wrong view is self-grasping. If you understand the interdependent horizon, not just intellectually understand, but experientially, then it cuts through the net of all wrong views. This is the destroyer, So if we realize that all phenomena, all dharmas are dependent and do not truly exist by themselves, we will free ourselves of the harmful confusion of ignorance and wrong view of grasping, self-grasping. That's why Niluktok Mardana in this text says, right, without realizing the interdependent horizon, this view, there is no way to cut the samsaras, the root of samsara, which is self-arising, self-grasping, not self-arising. So therefore, Chandrakurt said that, So we have yesterday iron net. What they say? The self-grasping. This is the opposite. We can cut through the net of this all wrong views and wrong views, right? So if we realize that if all the phenomena are dependent and if we really understand, believe, do not truly exist, all of this phenomena by themselves, then we will free. We will free from the wrong view of grasping. So all of that will diminish. That's why the view of interdependent horizon is the highest view of all. This stanza is talk about that. Now, number 10, root text, one who sees the infallibility of cause and effect of all phenomena and cyclic existence and enlightenment. Ganjik Kondi Churnam Tamchichi, Jimdi Namyang Lava Mentonis, one Ganjik who sees Metongshang, this is very mixed, so I can't explain you. Ganjik Kordi Churnam Tamchichi, Jimdi Namyang Lava Mentongshangs, and for whom trust in any object of the grasping mind has completely disappeared. Mikpita so kain kunshik pas has at that time entered the path placing the Buddhas. Then Sanji Jipi Lamla Shus. Then Sanji Jipi then means one who sees this view. Okay. Sanji Jipi Lamla Shus. Jipa means happy. Please, right? Please. And Jipa means, Buddha's very happy if you understand, if you realize these phenomena, all these phenomena, the interdependent horizon. If you understand this, that is the best offering to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, root teachers, because they like that. They don't. We just offer these flowers, the 7 bowls, and these things. That's for us. We have to purify our negative. But for them, if you really want them, make them happy, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, you should understand this view. So that's why has that time entered the path pleasing the Buddhas. So this stanza is talking about showing that right view, All phenomena of samsara and nirvana come about through cause and effect, right? That's what I said. So when we understand this dependent horizon, the right view, then we have entered the path pleasant to the Buddhas. Because dependent horizon is a very unique, very, very unique and special teaching of Buddhism, I think. Therefore, Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. He got this. He recognized the dependent horizon. So Buddha said that we have to know that when we analyze relative truth, relative phenomena, further, we must be aware that the way things appear to worldly beings is mistaken. Means not true, which means we are believing in unreal ideas of existence. We are developing sort of many ideas that are based on this unreal existence, because our belief is, again, based on illusion and this mistakes, this self-grasping. So we have wrong view, because self-grasp. For example, we think that something is, this is the Nagarjuna's always, we studied Buddhist philosophy, we study these things all the time, We think something is a single kind of our body, like unit, but it's not, right? We think that something is not singular, but we think it's singular. It's not. It's one thing. When we think of our body, we think our body is a single whole. But when we analyze it, we find that body is made of many things. And as we continue to investigate our body, I mean, body is just an example. And then not only investigate but practice on the result of that investigation. We will destroy our concept of body. Oh, there is a nobody, so there is a nobody, right? So but if we don't practice, then we cannot destroy this idea. Now, even though intellectually we understand there is a nobody, there is no one body like what we think, single whole body. There is no body, This is Buddhist found. This is like 3,000, whatever, 2,000, 700 years ago. They found that. Now the scientists, they also say, oh, your body is like what? 21 years? I think 21 years. After 21 years, your body is totally different. They found that too, but that's the after Buddhists. We are the best. They found that it's really true, because where our body, it must be, right? Every second, moment by moment, our body is changing. So then, but we can't let it go. That's my body, like that. So because of this wrong view, that's why self-grasping. So and doing this helps us destroy. They say, Buddhist philosophy, why you investigate your body? Why you do this? Because this destroy attachment to our body. So the attachment is the main thing we have to purify. So right now we are attached to our body because we think this is single whole and this is permanent, right? That's why we attach to it. So if we don't investigate like this, then we will continue to sort of perceive things in the form of body and house and so on, and then we cannot destroy the self-grasping. So the body is not one thing. The idea of this one thing is untrue. That's why Buddha said, right? The ordinary point of view, or whatever we see here, these things are, it's wrong. It's really wrong. It's not only this. The way we relate it to the world is like that, like this. So we have to, if we want to practice emptiness, the middle way, then we have to investigate our body. We have to investigate everything. We have to destroy the idea of self-existence. This is Gelug tradition. They investigate through this, these teachings and ideas, and then they will find this one ground emptiness. So we have to investigate. But Dzogchen point of view, you don't have to investigate. You just need to understand the essence of your nature mind. So then this is the destroyer, the self-existence. And then, but they're the same, It's just not really big different. So, and then you will see that the body is emptiness. So through that, you will diminish attachment. Through understand the nature mind, diminish attachment. The result is same. Therefore, it's a interdependent horizon, as they said. But we don't have this view if we don't study or investigate. Then we don't have this view. And another wrong view we have is we think impermanent. Impermanent things are permanent. That's the thing. Mertak pala takparan zumba in Tibet. We think the impermanent things we think permanent because we are believing in this single whole. That's the thing. Single whole. If I say, do you remember what you did yesterday? then you will say, yes, I did this and that, I took sangha, I took this and that, right? So at that time, you are believing that yesterday's you and today's you are the same person, right? Because there is attachment. So thinking like I'm very bad person because I was angry yesterday, right? I was angry last month, like that. So this is wrong view because you are still holding that idea from the past. You are not angry today, right? You are, even though like relative point of view, you think, oh, I'm so bad, I angry yesterday. But you're still holding that idea. But you are not angry today. So your ego holds a permanent concept of your ordinary self all the time. So this year, last year, this year, the year before, like that, I am a bad person. Or, if you have like something like bad relationship or something bad happened, you still hold that idea, that past. It's a past. It's gone. It's nothing there. But that's why our ego or whatever, the self-grasping holds permanent concept of these problems, many years, still then that makes you really unhappy, even though it was gone, it was already gone, nothing there, but then, we think I am bad person, or my friend is so bad, did me this and that. So from the Buddhist point of view, that's wrong, that's why they always say let it go, means like actually it's gone, it's actually gone. So if you hold that kind of concept throughout your lifetime, you become a bad person, because bad habit means bad habit. This is also what we call bad karma. Bad habit and bad karma is exactly same. So then, if nobody want to be a bad person, but you become a bad person because you still holding, this ego concept, permanent, the ego, doing that. So because then you sort of, interpret yourself as a bad person. So therefore, your ego's interpretation is unreasonable. So it has nothing whatsoever to do with the reality, with your pure nature, with your, basic, goodness. Because your ego holds onto such a self-existent ideas, So we are believing in something permanent when it is not. So ego is very bad. So we have to temporarily destroy is bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta. Ultimately, completely cut this ego, ultimate bodhicitta. So therefore, we are the definition of permanent is unchangeable. Buddhist point of view, philosophical point of view, the definition of permanent is unchangeable. So it doesn't matter how much change there is, we still believe it is permanent. Right? Is this true? I'm talking something is untrue. I think this is true. It's really everything is permanent. We think everything is permanent. So we are believing, and This table is permanent. This table is permanent. So then what happened? Attachment developed based on permanent, the view, the idea of permanent, then attachment. The basic, this idea is ignorance. So when we don't understand the view, this correct view, then we can't destroy our attachment. If we realize that these wrong views and ordinary ideas are mistakes, then the understanding of our precious human life, then we understand impermanence of life. The cause and karma will develop easily. We cannot develop these things because we have ego and hold this permanent. So this is a very important message, because this can destroy a lot of our destructive thoughts and mistakes. So therefore, this is very important view. We must know these views and we must understand our mistaken ideas, these temporary problems. And we must understand our basic goodness. Otherwise, we think, I am a bad person, and then makes you unhappy and all of that. You have to that's why you are the fortunate ones. Lama Tsongkhapa says, all of these things, we have a basic goodness, pure nature. We are very fortunate, but we make these things, mistakes, So if we want to change our lifestyle, we must have unmistaken view, enthusiasm, and motivation to change our lifestyle in order to benefit ourselves and benefit especially others. So when we understand the right view, we will no longer have mistaken views. In this way, the cause of these mistaken views, which is grasping for sort of inherent existence, will disappeared. So that is the path. That's why in this text says, that is the path pleasing the Buddhas. So we must understand the relative view and the ultimate view of human nature, basic goodness. It is love, relative view, love, and it is wisdom, self-arising wisdom, ultimate view, human nature. Relative human nature is love. Ultimate human nature is self-arising wisdom. Because as you know, from the Buddhist point of view, wisdom is the most important. Because once we develop wisdom, then we have unmistaken views. An unmistaken path, unmistaken lifestyles. We have all of these unhappiness problems because lack of wisdom. Then we have wrong views. That's why Buddhism, the most important is wisdom. So that's why self-arising wisdom. If we don't have a clear view, we just believe in something, and it could be very dangerous. That's why wisdom makes these things very clear. All of us have sort of a, certain degree of love and kindness in our relationships, but many times our love and kindness is a sort of mixture, half love, maybe half attachment. So that is due to a lack of wisdom. But we don't need this wisdom. We have wisdom. We don't need to search for this sort of wisdom, human qualities from outside. So if you know yourself, if you know your nature, and this especially interdependent horizon, then your mind will be very clear, very clear. So these are relative sort of human qualities of nature. When we examine things like this, we will see that things exist dependently. Our wisdom mind realizing that there is nothing truly existing is the foundation of the understanding of emptiness. Do you understand? That's why the wisdom is so important. The foundation of understanding of emptiness is the realizing the interdependent horizon. So from the Buddhist point of view, having renunciation of samsara and love and kindness of relative sort of bodhicitta alone is not enough to cut the root of the dualistic mind, right? Through practicing love and kindness, bodhicitta, we can eliminate sort of gross feelings of the selfish mind, right? We talked about it yesterday. But we cannot eliminate the root of ego, or this dualistic mind, as they say, dualistic mind, self-grasping. We cannot without understanding this view. We cannot. Okay? So therefore, so important, without understanding emptiness or non-duality, it is impossible to cut the root of samsara. That's it. So renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, three of this working together, we can. Yeah? Renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, three principles. Why do they say three principles? Now you understand. Right? So the bodhicitta's point of view, emptiness point of view, the problem is self-grasping, selfishness. So temporary antidote, selfishness, temporarily, relative bodhicitta, best. Ultimate antidote, selfishness, ultimate bodhicitta. All right. Okay, take a break and then maybe we'll meditate afterward.